Good morning, everybody. Matt Modi here to give you my favorite NBA player prop picks today. We're talking Tuesday, January 28th. The splash zone is in your life. I don't know if I want to say back in your life because yesterday was pretty brutal. We're going to get into that. As for today, I have 4 plays for you guys to lock in, along with a quarter unit dart throw as well. Need a couple of those to come through. Before we get into today's picks, we do unfortunately have to do a recap from yesterday, which was just one of those days. Just a brutal day yesterday. 0 for 6. Literally lost every single bet. Now, we're not that far removed from a day where we went 6-0. We also had a 5-0 day not that long ago. So, unfortunately, these things happen. It sucks when they do, but it's just the nature of the business. Couple bad luck plays, couple just bad reads that I probably shouldn't have played. All in all, you add all that up, 0 for 6, down over 6 units yesterday. Luckily, we have built enough profit to withstand that and still have somewhat of a green on the year in terms of our profit. We're up like a little bit over 16 units on the year. Been a little bit rough the last, 2 of the last 3 days. Haven't been super fun, so hopefully we can turn it around. We got a lighter betting slate today as opposed to yesterday. Only 4 games today as opposed to 11 yesterday, but hopefully we can have a good one today. I do have a pick in all 4 of these games. Before we get into it, I am going to share my screen and kind of walk you through my bets. Would appreciate it if you could hit that subscribe button, like the video, comment, all that good stuff. What we see on the screen here is Props Madness, which is mostly what I use for all my NBA betting. If you want to check them out, I put a link to Props Madness in the description of the video, as well as the pinned comment. If you do sign up, it would help me out a ton if you used the promo code MODI, all caps, just if you want to support the channel. So I have a play in each game, so we'll just go starting from the early one. Lakers versus Sixers. And I have, in this one, I took Austin Reeves and actually took him on the assist. So I took him over 6.5 assists. I got it at minus, you can actually get a little bit of a better price. Right now it's minus 105 at Bet365. I got it at minus 108 at FanDuel, so I got a little bit of a worse price on this one. I would still take it. I mean, obviously, if I like it at minus 108, I definitely like it at minus 105, so I would definitely take it at that number. Now, when you look at Austin Reeves, it's like the tale of 2 seasons, right? Like, we look at the entire season. He's only gone over in 13 of 39 games, a third of the time. But we see, he hit it, 4 times in the first, whatever this is, 20 games of the year, something like that. And he's been much, much better from this date forward. Well, you want to know what started on this date moving forward? No D'Angelo Russell. So we look at games specifically without D'Angelo Russell, no other filter, just games that D'Angelo Russell did not play. It's 8 of 13 hit rate with a 61% hit rate, averaging just under 8 assists in that stretch. So obviously, no D'Angelo Russell means a lot more playmaking for Austin Reeves. So right off the bat, we're not looking at matchups, we're not looking at anything. We know that without D'Angelo Russell on the team anymore, Austin Reeves' assists become much, much better. And we even look at the 3 of the games in which he went under. 6 assists yesterday, 6 assists against the Celtics, a team that's generally tough to get assists on, 14 potential assists in that game. And then against the Hawks, 6 assists on 11 potentials. 11 potentials is fine. It's not amazing, but it's not a death sentence. But 3 separate times landing on exactly 6 assists when we need him to go over 6.5 while going over 6.5 in 8 of 13. That's pretty good. So again, without even looking into the matchup, things look pretty good for Austin Reeves. As far as the matchup goes, the Sixers are generally a pretty good matchup for point guard assist props. We look at the similar plays of Props Madness isn't always helpful because Austin Reeves' his role has changed. So Austin Reeves from November 8th doesn't have the same role as Austin Reeves now. So if we look at the entire season in terms of players similar to him, it doesn't look great. But if we just look at the point guard position, 60% have hit 9 of the last 15. And some of the guys that are kind of similar, like Garland and Mitchell, both hit in the same game. Dame missed, but then Halliburton had a good game. McConnell missed. A lot of those, 3 of these misses were all TJ McConnell. Didn't hit it once against the Sixers. SGA had a good game against them. Cason Wallace. Some guys had a good game. But if we just kind of look blanketly, the Sixers allow the 10th most assists per game overall. That's with the assists allowed 21st you see on the graph here. Again, that's not amazing, but it's not terrible. And if we just look at Austin Reeves, okay, how has he done against teams that are just in the bottom half? Literally just looking at 15 to 30 in terms of assists allowed. That goes up to 6 of 8 games, averaging 8 assists per game. So Austin Reeves over 6.5 assists I also put a quarter unit on him to record a double-double as well. That was at plus 425 at DraftKings. We see like 3 separate times in the stretch he landed on double-digit assists. He also got double-digit rebounds in one of those games, and then the other 2 he did come a little bit close. Now, the rebounds I'm not as high on. I don't think it's really that likely he gets there from the rebounds. It's more so from the assists, but it is possible. He could get there with the assist. And then, the Lakers are on the second half of a back-to-back. They haven't announced their injury report or anything like that. Anthony Davis and LeBron James might play. And I would still like Austin Reeves in this look. If one of them misses, mostly LeBron, if he misses, then it just becomes a smash play on Austin Reeves. So there's like a lot of room for, and there's a lot of positive room for development on this play. I don't know if that's the best phrasing, but you know what I mean. And then even if like everything's normal, I still would like to play. So that's our first one, Austin Reeves. Next up, I'm going to head to the Rockets versus Hawks game. And I'm going to go with Jaylen Green. And I took him 25 plus points. So his main line over under, depending on where you look, you can get over 21.5 for minus 120. You can get over 22.5. Looks like, honestly, for similar price to minus 120. So if you don't want to bet the main line play like I did, take the minus 120 at ESPN Bet. I played 25 plus, and I played it at plus 140 odds at ESPN Bet. I think that for someone like Jaylen Green, doesn't really that frequently land between 21 and 24. So I thought that it made sense to pump him up. I mean, like, you look, he's hit the over 22.5 in 12 of 23 games. Literally not a single time did he land 23 or 24 points. Now, if we go this to 21.5, twice, he landed on exactly 22. So it's a little bit of a key number there. But still, I would much rather take the much better odds on him to score 25 plus. And you look at like this incredible stretch of games that he went on, common denominator with that as well. No Jabari Smith Jr. I mean, he hit 8 straight games, 25 or more points the first 8 games that Jabari Smith Jr. missed. Since then, yeah, he's missed in 3 of his last 4 games. But his volume is basically the same. He just hasn't shot well. I mean, against the Pistons, 8 of 21. You can kind of forgive someone for having a bad shooting game after shooting this well 8 games in a row. 8 of 21, 4 of 16, and then, okay, a decent game, 5 of 11 from 3, 7 of 7 from the free throw line, 7 of 16 from the field. Good defense, too, when he did that against the Cavs. And then bad game last night against the Celtics. Only shot 3 of 13, 1 of 6 from deep. Just a bad game. That happens. Now he has a dream matchup against the Atlanta Hawks, who just, I mean, you see a lot of green on this page right here. Defensive rank versus DPT. So it's basically saying how well does the defense guard the number one play type of this player. For Jaylen Green, a third of his points come as the pick and roll ball handler. They're the 4th worst defense guarding pick and roll ball handlers. Next up, the one right below that, D rank versus DSZ. That is how the defense guards the shot zone. That equates to the majority of the points for the player. In this case, the above the break 3-pointer. And as you can see right here on this verse tab, literally the worst defense, 30 out of 30 in terms of how they guard the above the break 3-pointer. And the second shot zone that leads to the second most of his points is in the restricted area. The Hawks are the 3rd worst defense in the restricted area. So really, really good matchup for Jaylen Green. We look at like how has he performed in the top half of these matchups. Obviously, it's going to look good because he's hit it. I mean, if you even take that out, it's 9 of 12 games without Jabari Smith Jr. is pretty good. But if we just look at teams in the top half, it's 5 of 7, averaging about 25 points per game. So 2+ matchups he did miss against the Pistons and against the Celtics. I actually did like his matchup yesterday against the Celtics. I didn't bet it, and I'm glad I didn't because he didn't shoot well. But I'm betting on him to bounce back in this one. I do think that he has a good game. Much, much, much easier defense against the Hawks than it is against the Celtics. And if you look at players, and this is just his position, so guards. Edwards missed last game, then 4 straight hit. Pritchard, Brunson, Cunningham, Beasley. Then 4 straight missed, and then it's kind of like hit or miss. Like Booker blew up against them. 1 game hit, 1 game missed. Sexton had a good game against them back in January, the beginning of January. So I like this one as a fade of recent results, considering if you just kind of look blanketly, he's missed it in 3 of his last 4, hasn't shot well. 3 of those 4 games were against tough defenses, and even the Pistons defense, if you just look at defensive rating, they're what? 13th. So 4 games all against top half defenses that he didn't quite perform well against. Now he gets a soft matchup against a Hawks team that's bad basically any way in which he scores. So I think there's a lot of reasons to believe in Jaylen Green. That's our second play. Next up, we are heading to the Jazz Warriors, and I have a play in this one as well. I have a play in every game. I'm going Steph Curry, and I'm actually taking him on the assist. Now, this is another one. So I took over 7.5 for plus 115. That was at FanDuel. Props Madness doesn't pull in FanDuel odds right now, but if that's no longer available, you can still get plus 110 at ESPN Bet, and I would still take it. This is another one that the hit rate is going to look gross, but it's a play because of injury news. No Draymond Green for the Warriors in this one. And as you can see, it's only been 8 games, but 5 of 8 games, Steph has hit the over 7.5 assists in games in which Draymond Green has missed. Obviously, more playmaking makes sense. No Draymond Green loses a playmaker, so we leaves more playmaking for Steph. Now, one of those games, Kuminga also played in. So Kuminga's out for this game. So we look at games without Kuminga. It's a little bit worse, 3 of 6 games, but we see 7 right here. We see 7 right here. And this one specifically, 17 potential assists. That's really good. We look at like opponent assists allowed. I mean, majority of these are actually against tough matchups, teams that don't allow a lot of assists. I mean, the Raptors are bottom half. They're 19th, but the Timberwolves are tough. He had 8 assists in that one, 12 potential assists. Celtics, as I mentioned, don't allow any assists. He had 13 potentials. He only converted 4. And oh yeah, they lost that game by 40 points. The Kings, he had a good game, 12 assists. Bulls is the game in which he had 17 potential assists. That's a game we would hope. I mean, we're looking honestly for this exact stat line. Just one more assist. He converted 7 of 17 potential assists. That's a terrible conversion ratio. And you look at the matchup against the Jazz. I mean, 6 of 12 players similar to Steph, which doesn't sound amazing. But if you just look at the point guard position in general, 7 of the last 15, again, doesn't sound amazing. But we're looking at how defense versus position, right? We're looking at assists for point guards. Jazz, second most assists allowed to point guards in the entire NBA. You want to look at the last 30 days, it's the most assists allowed to point guards in the entire NBA. We want to look at a different source. It's the same information, just a different source, because every source tracks things differently. The Jazz have allowed the most assists to point guards in the entire NBA, and that's on the season. When you want to look at the last 30 days, guess what? They have allowed the 4th most assists in the entire NBA. So still a good matchup, no matter how you slice it on both of these sources. And Steph has performed well generally without Draymond Green, without Kuminga. It's been a little bit scarier without Kuminga, but a majority of these games Draymond played in. So you really have to look at it with both of them out, with both Draymond and Kuminga out. And then you look at like, okay, both these guys out, and how has he performed against teams that are bad at assists, like in the bottom half? It's only 2 games. So it's a tiny, tiny sample size. One game he missed with 17 potentials. One game he cashed with 9 assists, and they lost that game by 10. They kind of got blown out. So a lot of avenues for Steph. I will admit his potential assists aren't quite as high as what we would normally look for, but against these soft defenses, he's converted a lot of them, except for this game against the Bulls. So I think it's a good look for Steph. I like getting it for plus money. And then our last bet of the video is Anthony Simons. I took him this exact bet, over 19.5 points. I got it at minus 105 odds at FanDuel. I would check to make sure that that is still available. If not, you can go minus 113 at Caesars, and that's fine. Anthony Simons, he's a player that's played better recently. Look at the beginning of the year. It's hit or miss for him. It's really hot to start the year, then a cold stretch, then a hot stretch, then a cold stretch. I mean, typical player like him that's a high volume shooter, you're going to have cold stretches like this where he can't make a shot. I mean, one of his games he got hurt and only played 5 minutes. So we look at games in which he's played 20 minutes, which he's going to play. 22 of 40 games, scoring 20 points on the season. That's not terrible. What I really like here is the matchup going up against the Milwaukee Bucks, who, I mean, almost 40% of his points come as the pick and roll ball handler. And the Bucks are the 7th worst defense guarding pick and roll ball handlers. 4 of 6 players have hit their point prop over against the Bucks. And actually the one who missed was Tyler Hero both times. I guess Tyler Hero just doesn't like playing against the Bucks, but Jordan Clarkson cashed it. Jordan Poole cashed it twice. And then you see who's bolded right here. Anthony Simons earlier in January cashed the over with 28 points against the Bucks. It's a good matchup. And one situation where Anthony Simons is going to have an advantage is pull-up shooting. The reason why the Bucks are such a good matchup for guys like Anthony Simons is because he takes a lot of shots above the break. I mean, literally over half of his shots are above the break 3-pointers. And we look at how the Bucks guard above the break 3-pointers. We go by shot zone above the break. The Bucks, and this is on the season, right? This should be on the entire season. The Bucks allow the 4th most attempted above the break 3-pointer. So they're letting teams take those shots. And you want to look at the last 10 games, just because sometimes what happens at the beginning of the year isn't always helpful. Last 10 games, the Bucks have allowed literally the most attempted above the break 3-pointers and the 2nd most made. So they're a really good matchup for players taking above the break 3-pointers. And Anthony Simons, that's literally where over half of his shots come from. So you could go threes as well for Anthony Simons. It's over 3.5 at plus 120. I don't think that's terrible, to be honest with you. Like, you could go for his threes as well. Hit rate isn't quite as good, 16 of 40 versus 22 of 40. So it's 6 games in which he scored 20 points, but didn't hit 4 threes. And then another reason to like Anthony Simons is the Bucks allow a lot of, I mean, these are correlated, but the Bucks allow a lot of pull-up shots as well. So they allow, as you can see, again, I just gave you the above the break numbers. If we go pull-up numbers, so we go to shot range, we go to pull-ups, the Bucks, and this should be, so this is the last 10 games. The Bucks have allowed the 5th most attempted pull-up 3-pointers, and they've allowed the 2nd most made pull-up 3-pointers. And we look at players pull-up shooting last 10 games for Anthony Simons. He's not quite among the tops. You know, he's not up here with Trae Young and Maxey and all these guys, but he's down. He's like top 20. We see Anthony Simons right here. Averages about, like I said, about top 20 in terms of pull-up shooting, but by far the most on the Trailblazers by far. So Anthony Simons, 20-plus points, is our 4th and final pick of the video. And that's all we got. 4 bangers for you guys to lock in for today's NBA betting slate. Let's hope that we have a much, much better day than yesterday. Real quick, I'll recap them for you guys. It's Austin Reeves over 6.5 assists and a quarter unit on him to record a double-double. It's Anthony Simons, 20-plus points. It's Steph Curry, 8-plus assists. And it's Jaylen Green, 25-plus points. Let's hope we go 4-0 today. Right the wrongs from yesterday. I appreciate everybody for watching. Make sure to like the video, comment, subscribe. Check out the links in the description of the video. Link to Props Madness. I also have a link to my Dub Club. So when I say like, oh, I sent this play out or I got it at this number, I'm talking about my Dub Club, which is where I send all my bets out for $5 a month. So if you don't always want to watch the YouTube videos, you just want to tail, Dub Club is for you. Or if you want to be able to let lock plays in before the odds change, Dub Club is for you. But that's all we got. Again, I appreciate you guys for watching. Make sure to bet responsibly and have a good one.